Hey guys, I just wanted to hop on quick. I have my crazy look going again. I was just on my way home from Viva from a class, and my guides actually were nice and loud, and they really wanted me to share this message with you. It is a general message for anyone who is meant to be listening to this right now. And so if you're listening to this and you feel like you're ready to hear this, then you're meant to be here. If it's not resonating, that's totally fine. You can come back to this at any point. There's no timeline here. When you're listening to this, you're meant to be hearing it. But the main message they really wanted to share today to just help little tweaks in this world is empathy versus compassion. Okay, so empathy, you hear you're empathic or you empathize with others. And what this is you're basically listening to others and you're sharing in their suffering. You're physically feeling what they're feeling, and it's a beautiful gift. And I know there's a lot of different viewpoints on this, but there is a but to empathy. And that's basically what my guides want to say. It's like, let's talk about the but to empathy. So empathy versus compassion. Let's switch empathy into a compassion statement, okay? So empathy, again, is sharing and letting others project their consciousness onto you and physically feeling that suffering and basically suffering with them. And you walk away from the conversation feeling drained or tired or kind of like, ooh, that hurt, and you just feel off. And I know this has happened to a lot of you, okay? Or sometimes individuals will just start talking to you. You didn't even ask, and they'll just start projecting a bunch of stuff on you and what's going on in their life. And sometimes it gets way deeper than you wanted it to, which is totally fine. And everyone has their free will to share what they want. But since we're in a world where that does seem to happen more than often, let's learn how to change that into compassion so that we don't leave those conversations feeling like shit. Okay, so just to say that. So compassion is basically an extension of empathy, and it's just kind of the ability to have the motivation to listen to what the individual is saying, and you have the need to help them, but you don't have the need to suffer with them, okay? And so how can we do this is you basically push your bubble out. I like to call it my bubble, my aura, my sovereign divinity around me, my compassion bubble. Let's just start it with that, okay? Everyone has a compassion bubble. It has been there your entire life. Individuals like myself can actually see this compassion bubble, okay? And it's there. All you have to do is recognize that it's there, and it grows stronger. That's how cool this device is. I like to call it our little toolkit. Yeah, we have a really cool toolkit called a compassion bubble around us. And so as soon as you recognize it and you make it into an object and it sees that you're recognizing it, it gets stronger, okay? And you just have to know it's there and trust that it's there, and it'll be there. It's like your best friend, especially when you're out in public. And so you just ask, and with the help of your guides or with your own power, you're way more powerful than you all realize, is you just say, okay, every time I walk out the front door each morning, I ground with the earth. I am super grateful. I run the feeling of gratitude and joy and whatever other feeling you kind of want to be feeling that day. And then you push your bubble out, okay? And you just know it's there and be like, all right, guides, team, myself, my compassion bubble is out and active. So anyone who I converse with today will not make me feel like I'm suffering with them, okay? And so what's actually happening when individuals are talking to you and you start feeling drained and tired and you walk away again just feeling like, ooh, that was heavy. They are actually projecting so much more onto you than you even realize, okay? So what's happening is they're speaking from their throat chakra, and all these duality consciousness thought forms and frequencies and vibrations. And of course, when they're telling some crazy, sad story, they have no control over this. So it's not their fault. There's absolutely no judgment here. They don't even know they're doing it. But people like you, when you become aware, this is what's happening, okay? And the more you become aware of this, the more it's gonna help everyone, everywhere, okay? So let's all do this. So you have your bubble out. This person starts talking to you. They're literally letting their brain, which is duality consciousness, which is good, bad, evil, good, this, that, my religion versus your religion, me versus them, basically everything like you compared to others. And unity is within your heart, and I will have a whole video on this. But what's happening when they're all worked up and telling a story is all the duality consciousness in their brain and from their solar plexus gut area is connecting and coming out of their throat chakra, mixing around, coming out of their mouth. People like myself can see that there's this little frequency that literally comes towards you and gets into your body, gets into that compassion bubble that you don't even know is there, physically into your body. And so you feel it. Like someone starts crying and you start crying. You physically feel the suffering. That is the gift of empathy. And I know it kind of sucks and you're like, that's not fair, but we can change it, okay? And so now that you know that's what's happening and you're like, don't give me that little squiggle. I don't want your squiggle. Like, I'm here for you. I want to listen to you, but I'm not trying to like drown with you. I'm trying to pull you up, right? That's what everyone is. That's what help is you're not going to sit there and suffer with them. You want to help them, okay? And so to start that, compassion is having your bubble, and what's happening now is you're in more of a neutral space and you start watching yourself kind of from a third perspective. You start watching yourself listening to this individual speaking, and you're realizing, you're feeling it. You can maybe even see that as well, like myself, and you can see that it's not physically affecting you, okay? And it kind of gives you this little jolt of like, ooh, okay, you get a little stronger each and every time you start realizing this and recognizing it more and more. It just takes more recognition. It's very subtle, but the more that you recognize that you're not letting others' projections physically get into you, and that you're actually just helping them pull them up rather than sinking down with them. Let's all vibe higher here, people. Like, that's what this whole world's about. That's what ascension is. You start watching yourself and you realize that these squiggles are kind of just bouncing off and you're not actually feeling this, and the other individual doesn't even know this is happening, and they never have to know it's happening, and you're still helping them even just by listening. Sometimes all you need to do is listen, because that compassion bubble actually has its own tools, its own frequency of love, because compassion is love. It's just loving another individual from a neutral stance and wanting to help them without the need to suffer with them, okay? So it has its own tool of love that you can just trust. Like, trust me, it's there. And so those squiggles kind of mix in with the compassion bubble and they bounce back to that individual rather than coming into you. And it heals both of you at the same time. How cool is that? Yeah, I know. And so you're feeling better, they start feeling better just because you're listening. So don't think that you always need to have an answer. You're literally just like, you're welcome for my compassion bubble. Just say that like to yourself sometimes. Yeah, my guides liked that one. They really want you to start recognizing the difference of like, it's not your job to fix everyone, okay? Everyone has their own responsibility to pick themselves up. And as much as and as easy as it is to project your own thought forms onto others, it's your own job to also pick yourself up, okay? And it's not your job to fix them. And so just have the ability to push out that bubble, to empathize with what they're saying in a way of compassion. So just extending that empathy into compassion. I hope this is making sense, because it's just a little tweak. It's not like I'm not going to help anyone now and I'm not going to listen to anyone. And that's where boundaries come in. Obviously, just become very aware of how you're feeling when you leave conversations with certain individuals. And if nothing ever changes, I'm not saying you have to keep going back to this person and keep trying to help them now that you have this compassion bubble. If nothing changes and you're realizing like, oh, I'm still feeling drained, like there's just something going on there where it's not your job at all, and this person needs to learn on their own. This person's gonna have their own lessons by you putting up boundaries and being like, I hear you, I see you, but I cannot listen to this right now. Like, I have my own stuff. I need to bring my own self up. Like, I really hope that you feel better, or whatever you want to say to that individual. But just become very aware of how you're feeling with each conversation that you have, because I know that's a scary step and people don't want to hear that sometimes, but sometimes that's all it takes a person to hear, is when you put up a boundary. So they can know about the boundary, or they don't have to know about the boundary. But sometimes that's almost a healing in itself when you tell them, like, that's what's up, that's what's happening right now. It's a big wake-up call. And they can fight, they can scream, they can kick and scream with a tantrum going down, being like, you're a mean friend, you don't want to help me. And it's just like, okay, you still have that compassion bubble, so you're still not judging them for that, because they're going through their own shit, okay? People who project things onto you are going through their own shit, and they don't want to deal with it themselves. So they're going to push it onto you because they realize that you listen to it and they see that you're hurting too, and it makes them feel better. That's kind of fucked up. let's change that. No, you are so much stronger than you guys realize. All you have to do is ask for that bubble to be strengthened every single day. Trust that it is. I promise it is. It is not like a huge thing you have to go through. You just have to recognize that it's there, and you're gonna feel a lot better, okay? So just start practicing this with every single person that you talk to, and don't judge yourself if you come away. It's not like it's gonna happen overnight, but it is gonna be a very subtle change, and it's gonna grow, and I'm really excited to see how this works for all of you, because my guides are very big on this. That was one of my first lessons a while ago, was stop thinking you have to fix everyone and stop feeling like shit when you leave conversations. Just be like, okay, that was a conversation that I had, and now I'm gonna move on, and I'm still feeling like me. I'm not feeling like that other person. I'm not carrying that other person's weight around with me anymore. Basically, it just lifts all of everyone else's weights off of you, and you just become your whole self that you're supposed to be. So I can definitely go more into this, but I just wanted to hop on quick and give that message. And they're so grateful that you guys are all here listening, and let me know how this works. And I love you all. Have a great rest of your day.